Lean construction, building information modeling, and critical chain, do they merge as a three kind of different methodologies? So many buzzwords. This is very few, I named it, but probably you've been through much more. And Lithuania is quite a new economy. Honestly, this year is 25 years as we got our independence. So before we were part of the interesting economical, let's say, system, as part of Soviet Union. And although some things in management were not bad, at least they were not stealing only technology from the West, but some management methodologies as well. When you talk to representative or consultant of any methodology, most of the times they focus on advantage of why their methodology is better. And of course, they know quite well shortcomings of others. Quite often when we talk, and I have quite a lot of friends who work in the production, and they are lean guys, and their way of thinking that in order to achieve results, the implementation has to be like pure. They're really about the purity of their methodologies, and they don't want to be affected by anything else, especially with lean. And most of the explanations, when I say, okay, you had a 2-year project, you spend a little bit of time and money and efforts of your team. Do you have results? Yes, we see the morale going up, and now everybody is measuring everything, and our shop floor is cleaner and everything. And then I ask very, very bad question. Do you see the bottom line results? And they said, well, the lean is, we expecting to have results in nearest future. Okay. So quite often when some methodology rejects other methodology because of some shortcomings, they're ready to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Probably you know that saying that if the only tool you have is a hammer, it's easy to treat everything as if it were the nail. When you talk to any methodology representative, this purist, I always get the sense, and I think that, okay, when I started on TOC, it was a long time ago, 2001. I've read the goal, I went for the first trainings, and I knew that everybody else with any other methodologies, well, they just don't get it. Yes, they don't know how the world is structured and things like that, and we know how to do it right. But at some point I started to think that it cannot be that all others around me, they are really stupid, yes, and they don't get it. And there is a good thing in what they do as well. Again, in order to make a good stew or good soup, you need a lot of ingredients. Some time ago, I had a client who is selling software called Revit and other softwares for architectures. And then I learned a little bit about BIM. From that, we went to the construction segment as our clients to start selling the critical chain project management and so on. But what is BIM? Basically, it's a process involving a generation and management of digital representation of physical and functional characteristics of the places. Basically, you build the building in a computer. So before you try to do some piloting in real life, you play in the computer. And it really helps to get a sense of what do you want to build and how the final product should look like. When we started to work with the construction companies and with their clients, honestly, I haven't met the situation yet in my part of the world that anybody has a clear vision when the project is started. Money is basically ready when they start the project, construction project, that anybody knows how the final building would look like. Yeah, it's somebody has some kind of general vision that this should be the office building, and in the process they start finalizing. And we had one client who started the project to build 24 stores building, because at that time he had the permission to build 24 stores building. And when they were almost at the 18th level, suddenly they managed to get the permission to build 27. So the BIM is really good to do, first of all, to know what should be the final product, and second, it helps to build bill of material, I would say. What kind of construction material and how much at what time you will need. And what is lean construction? Lean construction, they have their institute, and it's a lean design and construction methodology where they use basic principles from lean and Toyota production system, but they adjust it to the construction area. They started as a methodology, I think, more or less 20 years ago, and some things are good what they do, but some things I think can be improved. One of the general ideas they have that you need to have integrated project delivery team or integrated project delivery, that you need to have the client, the general contractor, and the design team working together. And it's a good, like everybody should win-win and so on. But in real life, how it works, somebody who wants to have the building, what he does, he has a tender for the cheapest architecture company, an engineering company. Okay? And then, having their work, what he does, again, he does the tender for the cheapest general contractor, who does the tenders for the cheapest subcontractors, and so on. So idea is good in general. I haven't seen it working, at least in our part of the world. But what we really found good, that lean construction methodology has a so-called last planner system. It's registered, it's patented. Basically, it's about the yellow stickies. And when I see in the methodologies the sign like that, I start getting nervous. Because, well, if it's a good thing and like common sense, how you can patent or have the intellectual property rights on the common sense? But a last planner system basically has several layers. First of all, it's how you do the master scheduling, so setting milestones and strategy, identification of long lead items, and phase pull planning on handoffs, identify operational conflicts. Basically, this is the part of, they do quite a lot of training on that and how to do that. Then others are more operational planning, and the last part is about progress, how you measure the progress, and PPC is percentage of plan completed, and that's already the part which is very typical. Everybody loves that, how much percent of the work we completed, but we know the what the ramifications of that is for the real life. Well, what is critical chain project management? Do you need additional explanations? Yeah? We were invited to one client, the general contractor, big construction company. Basically, they had a situation that they had a big client. And they started to do the project for that big client. And, of course, they had estimations, they had due dates. And then some Murphy striked. They renegotiated the due date with the client. First time, second time, third time. And when they invited us, there was the situation then their client said to them, even if you come again with the question or discussions about the due dates or times, basically you lose the contract. And you will have to pay the fines and so on. And so they said, can you do something? So first of all, we sit down and, like in any project, or in construction project, first of all, you need to know what should be the final product. And at that time, most of the working drawings were still in the procedure. There was no final decision. So when we know what has to be done, then we need to know how we should do. We need to know the bill of materials and technology. And we need to know to have sound plan and execute the plan. Looks like very simple. Yeah, so then we forced them basically to use this BIM methodology basically and to go to the client to finalize how the final product should look like, the building. When we asked why you're not using or why you haven't used that, the client said, I don't need to use BIM because this is really heavy cost world. So because to use the BIM methodology, to use addition, it will take some money. In that case, it costed less than 20,000 euros to do. And the overall project budget was in tens of millions euros. But still, we need to save each penny. When we talked to the general contractor, he said, I don't need it because I know how I'll build it. Yeah? And only if subcontractors make mistakes, so they're going to pay for that. Yeah? So it's this absolute nice win-win world. Yeah? When everybody thinks how to take advantage of other. Then when we had the final product, we knew how it should be, we did this last planning, we did per building. You should imagine, because this is not the picture of the team, I just took this picture because there was no time for making photos when we were planning. But this is people, the major project managers and the technological managers, site managers in construction business in Lithuania. They are around 50 plus years old. They've been in that sector typically from the Soviet times. And in Soviet times, there were only, in any area, there were only two ways of doing anything. The way it taught in university and the wrong way. And imagine me when I started to talk to them and I said, well, basically my first education background is accounting, and then I have MBA from Edinburgh, and they were like, look, you accountant. You think you know how things are in the real life on construction site. And, during the discussion, there were quite a lot of words which are impossible to translate. And it's another interesting thing that in Lithuanian language there are no strong words. Really, the strong word is like snake or frog. And when we swear, the older people swear in Russian, younger in English. But that was like 50% of discussions in Lithuanian, 50% discussions in Russian. It took some time. What I did, the first step, then I said, okay, this is you need to do a foundation. And they were, okay, let's split in 3 groups. And you do the plan for the foundation. One group, another group, and the third group. It's easy. Oh, we've done it, you know. You haven't been born. We were doing these kind of projects. Okay, you do the plan. 3 different teams. Basically, the same result should be, so theoretically, we should get very similar plans. I said, okay, assume you have all the resources you need. Just I need a PERT sequence. That's it. You know, this. When they presented 3 absolutely different plans. So I said, what does it mean? You have no clue what are you going to do. And they agreed. So it took us like 4 days to do quite a heavy detailed plan. Not very detailed, but we built a PERT. Then we entered it into Exepron. When we talked to construction guys, then they said, well, in universities, even now, I think only one profession, it's engineers or construction engineers, they get some education on project planning. Others, planning? No. Just there is no topic or subject like that in our universities. But when we talk to them, they say, we never ever done the plan real that everybody could believe. One of the project managers said, well, I typically do 4 project plans. One is for the boss. One is for the client. One is for the subcontractors. And one is for me, at least, to get some feeling what's going on. So, and he said, but the interesting part is that after some time I forget which one is for whom. So we had even some major subcontractors to participate during the network building. Then execution. When we had a plan with the milestones and last planner idea of planning, it's starting from the end. And they have it intellectual property rights, so I think we have some issues on that. Yeah? Just joking, but we built, and again, for them it was really every like 15 minutes had to say stop. Forget the beginning, because let's go one step backwards. And it's so, at the beginning, it's so counterintuitive. Have you ever experienced that when you did your first plan? Even second? Yeah? Luckily enough, I had my colleague to do more that, because I hate doing plans as well myself. Yeah? But so when we had that project plan, we started to manage according to that project plan. But again, typically in our part of, in our country, not only, but it's post-Soviet countries, that typical planning or execution horizon, what they look, what's going to happen next, it's 2-3 days, not more. You know, even in our language, quite a lot of military words are used in a construction. So basically, when you prepare the place for some work to be done, it's typically called the work battlefield, if you translate directly. And at the end of the project, they typically do so-called work attacks. Yeah? They always in the war. This is the visualization of on the construction site of the PERT. We printed, and when they did finished some task, they just basically had a red pen. Every morning, everybody was on the site could see the progress. Exepron helped us to do this weekly planning part of the last planner, because we could see weekly planning from last planner methodology. It says you always should look 6 weeks in front. And well, when before was 3 days, to switch to the 6 weeks, it's too much. But we started to see instead of using the Excels, we started at the beginning to use the Excels, what work, when should start, when should finish status. We started to use the Exepron this week, what work should be done this week and next week. We were not using this lean last planner tool, plan percentage complete. Why? Probably you know. But again, it was really difficult to talk to them to skip that percentage measurement. Why? Because typically in our country, the general contractor is paid on the monthly basis on the work which is done during that month. As long as you're invoicing something, it could be absolutely non-critical tasks. Yeah? But as long as you're invoicing as a project manager, you're doing good. What happened, that one of the key tasks on critical chain was building this metal things for laying the concrete basement. It was 1,500 cubic meters foundation of just concrete. So it was 2-meter height, just concrete, and almost 700 square meters because of some architectural ideas. And the critical task really was to put this wiring, or how you call it, reinforcements. So we're stuck there. We need to do some progress, and we need to have something to invoice. They started to do other jobs. And we said, no, guys, stop doing everything. Focus on that. Yeah, but we will not be invoicing this month anything, or very small part. They said, but what's on the stake? What's at stake? Losing the contract. If you're not focused on this task. And then just we did pure lean things, like they decided, first of all, to have like double amount of workers. And why? Because if there was question that if we add more resources, the work will go faster. We calculated that, everybody will be in how you say that? Yeah, in each other's way. And the major bottleneck at this point was welders. Okay, so at least have more welders. Well, first of all, you need to have 15 more welders. It's not so easy to find it at a very short notice. So what we did, we went up and I said, okay, now you have how many? 15 welders welding. How many lights do you see? Because it's very easy to see when welder is working or creating. oh, he says, now it's good, it's 4. But typically 2 or 3 lights at the same time. So I said, now you want to have more welders instead of working with them. So there was quite a lot of different things what helped them. And during the rain time, there was some tents. They were creating the ideas and so on. And one of the major milestones, because the client said, okay, now you started to talk to me that you will not move the due date, but we already have some experience with you. So the first milestone was, okay, we need to finish that basement or foundation at some specific date. So this major milestone was 1 week before the planned due date. And when I participated in the meeting with the client, when we came to their client, it said, okay, we need to talk, because they had to say to the concrete producer that we will need the concrete. We said, we need to change the date. They were like, okay, contract is over. I said, no, relax. We want to move it 1 week before. They were, are you sure? And they are, I think, one month earlier will finish the last negotiated date. So they are really getting back, and client is really happy because he has already the client and he's ready to rent. What we realized that there are good technologies and methodologies in the world, not only TOC, we solve other problems. So BIM really helps to define what should be built and how we're gonna do that. I think Exepron needs to work on integration, because Revit and other tools, they have very simple export of the tasks, but it really builds or helped you to create this work breakdown structure. Last planner concept is very useful in creating the plan, especially in construction, but you should not forget this % of plan completed. CCPM helps to focus weekly planning on critical tasks and ensuring full kit, because quite often when you are living in 3 to 5 days working horizon, quite often happens that, okay, next week we will start doing something. Oh, but we need some special equipment, and it takes 2 weeks to bring it. These quite often oops moments. And CC critical chain really helps to focus lean improvement efforts, like we have with the welding task and so on. Old habits die hard. We kind of manage that project, although we still help them to manage that project. We said, okay, let's put whole company on the critical chain. I said, no, why not? We can still negotiate the postponing deadlines with the other clients. So still working with that. What we still want to do, and now we got some interest from the developer who was, maybe for the next his project, we will have integrated the project delivery team. And maybe then we will have even faster, better results.